Hello, my name is Ali Maraza, and I just kind of wanted to do a mini kind of system overview slash code review from the GMTK game jam. While my group and I didn't manage to complete the game on time, I did kind of want to go over the order system that I created. I created this modular system. The game idea itself was to fit with the countdown theme. It was a simple game about microwaving food. You play as Chef Mike. You would get orders that would come in. Each one would have a cook time and a certain number of ingredients, and you have to cook those to order using just your microwave. So simple idea, and I was mainly in charge of creating this order system here. So the very basis of it is the ingredient. Each order has to have ingredients, and that's what we have here. Just a simple UI element that has an image to represent the ingredient as well as the name of the ingredient. And this data gets populated through a Godot resource. Now, a Godot resource is essentially kind of like a class or a struct. It's a way to basically create objects that you can create things off of to store data. This kind of replaced the original idea. Coming from a little bit of time where I focused on web development, the original idea was to have a JSON file that would essentially act as a recipe book until my friend put me onto Godot resources. So each one just consists of the name and the image, which is then called back to later to populate these UI elements here. And I can show you what one looks like. Here we have our cake. We have the name cake and just a simple cake spray. So that's pretty much all for the ingredient, and that moves us to the next step up, which is the actual order itself. Each one has the order ID, the cook time, and then this white background here can infinitely expand to accept as many ingredients. That was the wrong scene, or rather I put that in the wrong section. It can handle as many ingredients as you can think to put on it. But again, these aren't placed here manually. This is all populated in the code, which we can go into now. So if we go over to our script and go over to our order, a lot of this gets called from the order manager, which I'll get into last through the setup order function. This is where we pass in our number of ingredients, how long we need to cook for, as well as an array of the ingredients themselves. And that's a lot of the top here, just prepping those variables, but our ready function is where all that actually happens. So we get the number of ingredients from our setup function, and we iterate through that. For each ingredient, we instantiate it, we add it to the scene, and then from those resources, from that array of resources, we get the name and the image to put each ingredient instance to match with what the resource is. And then the very final thing we do is we call this update cook time function, which is down here, and that essentially takes the input of cook time from our setup function and formats it into minutes and seconds, because the intention of the function was just pass in seconds. So if you would do 120 seconds, then it would format it properly here and display it as the proper minutes and seconds. So that is what constructs the order, and then that leads us finally to the order manager. This is just a blank scene with a timer. Every time the timer goes off, we spawn in a new order. So that's here. So we have a signal for on, timer, timeout, then we call spawn order. At the top here, we initialize our resources. In a more kind of polished and finalized version, this would be a map instead of individually preloading every single resource, especially because for the purpose of demonstration, it's only two ingredients and the order scene, but in a full game, it would be a lot more than just the two. And we have a reference to our timer as well as an array of ingredients just for the sake of testing. So again, on timer timeout, we call spawn order, just so they don't go off screen and we can kind of see how they populate. I limit it to 4 orders for now, otherwise the timer stops. We instantiate an order. We give it, for now, a random time between 10 and 50 seconds. We call that setup order function. So the first thing we pass in is the number of ingredients. Then we pass through how much time the order takes, which in this case is random time. And then we pass through that array of ingredients, in this case, cake and cheese. We set the order instance to add 300 to the current X position. This way they don't stack on each other, and we multiply that by the number of orders there currently are. So if there's only one order, it'll be 300, but if there's two orders, then it'll be at X 600 and so on and so on. We increment our number of orders so that we can reach that 4, and then finally we add the order to the scene. So just to show what this is like in action, I'm going to lower the wait time between orders to 3 seconds, and every 3 seconds we should see a new order pop up with the ingredients of cake and cheese. So we wait for 3 seconds. There's our first order with a cook time of 36 seconds, our cake and cheese, 18 seconds, cake, cheese, 39 seconds, and so on. And again, this can be modular. I can have it be just one ingredient. We can pass through only one, and it's just the cake. 3 seconds, now it's just the cake. We could do cake, and cheese, and then we can have it be 3 ingredients, and we can run it. There we go, cake, cheese, and so on. So that was just a little system that I had made for the Game Jam game. Again, I'm a little upset we didn't manage to complete the game, but I do think we intend to continue working on it. I actually think we have some plans to change up the idea a lot and make it a different style of game, but with the same overall concept of you run a restaurant with a microwave and you're trying to heat up food to meet orders. But I was just happy with how modular the system came out. It can be usable in a lot of different scenarios, and it was a learning experience for me with Godot, learning about how the resources work, and I'm still learning a lot about how scenes kind of interact with each other, and instantiating those scenes, because I come from Unreal and Unity, where a lot of these things exist. Obviously in Unity especially, there's the instantiate function, but some of the terminology can be different, and some of the way things interact in Godot compared to other engines can be just a little bit different. So this was overall a fun learning experience for me.